I become the first Brazilian in the history to visit every country in the world. You know, I'm so happy about your questions because I have been so many podcasts in Brazil, and it's so nice when you know how to ask questions. You know, this is amazing. I'm feeling even more happy. They are very shy to talk about sex. You know, it's like kind of a taboo. They when they drink, they become another person.
Oh my gosh, that is courageous.
And then one choked me, another one punched me here, and yes, and then I almost died.
Anderson, right?
Yeah, and you is Jared.
My name is Jared. Absolutely. Yeah, really good to meet you. Thanks for doing this, man.
Yes, thank you as well. It's a pleasure. It was such a random meeting, right?
Yeah, really random. Yeah, we've come into contact through my sister, right? You met my sister in Scotland and started talking to her. She mentioned that I have this podcast, and then you and I started talking on Instagram, and here we are.
Yeah, that's a very good mix. Also, Philippine Canadian. What is that thing? Very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. On my other channel, I make videos primarily for a Filipino audience, even though I'm not Filipino myself. And yeah, it's super fun. I've had we'll obviously get into this in a little bit. I know you're a very seasoned traveler, and I've done a little bit of traveling myself. But the country that I've spent the most time in, other than Canada, where I'm from, is actually Colombia.
Ah, cool. Yes, neighbor of Brazil that I'm come from.
Yeah, you're from Brazil?
Yes, I'm from Brazil. Uh, I broke a record, a world record. I become the first Brazilian in the history to visit every country in the world.
Wow, that's crazy. Every country.
Every country, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, how long did it take you to do that?
Well, I did the first world trip to every country in 2 years, but then I did another one, so I repeated already 70 countries.
Wow. Okay, so 2 years
Two years?
to do it the first time.
Yes, to do 196. And then I started traveling more slowly and slowly. And now I travel around 6 years already. So yeah.
So, I mean, if you did every country in 2 years, you probably had that as your goal at the beginning, right? Like that didn't
Yes.
happen by accident. You like went out and you're like, I'm gonna go and visit every single country.
No, it was my goal. I came from a very poor family in Brazil, and then I was kind of stuck in my life. You know, I used to sell iPhone case to survive, to make money to eat, and then I said, you know what? I need some emotional in my life. I need something like to escape from the poverty. You know, I need to do something like crazy. And then I decided to sell everything. It was not enough money to do this adventure because I need people support me, right? If I start just to be a travel influencer or just to be like one more, would be take time to make money online to leave my job, phone case and stuff. So I said I'll win, and then I said, guys, I'm gonna do it, and then I start to appear on newspaper, and then people start to follow me, and then I say, that's it. That's my only chance in the life to change my life and the life of my family. That's why I started.
Wow, that's incredible, man. So you kind of did like a press tour before the trip in Brazil.
Press tour? No, actually. So I was selling phone case, and then I opened a company about phone case, and then I was feeling sad because I was making money for Brazil, a lot of money for Brazil, not a lot for Europe or something like that. I was making like around 3,000 euros. For Brazil, it's a lot of money. In 2018, it's a lot of money. And then I said, you know what? But this is not what I want. I'm not. I didn't came here for the money, in this world. I'm feeling dumb. I don't know how to speak English. I don't know how to speak any language, just Portuguese. And then I said, yes, I have to see the world, but I don't have enough money to see. I don't want to do voluntary. I don't want to get stuck in a country. I don't want just to ask people for money because I had the entrepreneur mindset. And then I said, okay, I'm gonna find a challenge. And then I searched, and then I saw never any Brazilian did every country in the world, confirmed, like proved, you know. And then I said, okay, that's a good challenge. I'm gonna make people support me. And then I started. I sold everything. I told my friends. Then my city started to know about that. And then some journalists start to interview me. Some people they say, oh, you're not gonna do it. You don't have enough money. You don't have enough courage. What about Afghanistan? What about Syria? What about those countries? What about North Korea? And then I said, okay, I'm gonna find it during the way. Let's start.
So how much time was there between when you very first had the idea to do the all around the world trip and when you actually went to your first country?
1 month.
1 month. That's it. Oh my gosh, that is courageous. That is very courageous.
I believe that uh, planning is just 20% of the results. Execution, it's 80%. The Italian Pareto, he said that. You know the Pareto rule? I don't know in English, how can I call that?
The Italian parrot?
Regra de Pareto.
I don't know that. No, I don't know that.
80-20, you know about it, 80-20?
The 80-20 rule? I've heard something like that. Is that
Yes,
similar?
it's the name of the guy is Pareto. It's Pareto principle in English.
Ah, that's his name. Okay.
Yes, the Pareto principle states that for money outcomes, roughly 80% of the consequence come from 20% of the cause. That's what I believe, and I put it as my main thing in life.
So you said that for this huge trip, for the 100% of this trip, only 20% of it has to be actually planning the logistics.
Yeah, but actually it was even less than 20% because I was buying the ticket in my way. Okay, let's see, next country, which one is the closest one? Which one I haven't been? Okay, go. So it was like in the flow, you know?
I mean, the thing that I immediately think of with a trip like that is that I know that every country has a different passport, and every passport has a different like travel power, or I don't know what you would call it, but like, you know, for this country, you might only be able to go to X number of countries without a visa. But if you're from this country, you might need even more visas. How is the Brazilian passport?
You know, I'm so happy about your questions because I have been so many podcasts in Brazil, and it's so nice when you know how to ask questions. You know, this is amazing. I'm feeling even more happy. So yeah, you are 100% right. Every passport have like it's like a game, right? RPG game. With this, you can go this and that. But I'm lucky because people don't know, but Brazilian passport is one of the strongest in the world. So we can go to 172 countries without visa or with visa on arrival or with a visa. So I had to do just 25 visas. Um, Struggling with this visa: North Korea, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Eritrea, Algeria, um, Chad, Cameroon, Central Africa in general. So it was more about the and United States, of course. But it's if you have United States visa, it opens a lot of doors, opportunities. So yes, Brazilian passport helped me a lot, and I'm very proud to be Brazilian.
Yeah, I mean, only having to get 25 visas is pretty good, actually. Out of 196, that's really good. So how long did you stay in each country on average?
Well, in my first, I have, I think it's like a dumb average is 3 days. But why is dumb? Because around 20 countries, it's war. So I stayed just 1 day because I don't want to die. I didn't want to die.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I got more days in other countries. Example, in Iran, I stayed 2 weeks. In Thailand, 2 weeks. A lot of countries I stay 10 days, 2 weeks. But some countries, example, Caribbean islands, it's almost the same. Blue water, piece of land, and people trying to sell you stuff. And then you go, you know, like cruise and blah, blah, blah. So it's almost the same. Of course, if I want to do a documentary about Caribbean, I would stay longer, but it was not my purpose, you know. I had some countries that I would visit more and some countries that I want just to pass. It was my goal. Some people they judge me a lot. Oh, you were too fast. You didn't know the country. But listen, it was my goal in that time to visit every country fast. You know. Now my goal is to go deeper, and I try to spread this. You should not judge the way how someone travel, because everyone has a purpose. I was very poor. I didn't have money to eat, you know? And then it was a way after I started my company, it was a way to get out of the bubble. It was my way. Some people they have them way. So it was one of the biggest lessons that I learned traveling is to do not judge another traveler.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of thinking. I mean, if you're going to travel to every country in the world in 2 years, you can't spend that much time in any country anyway, right? Like, that's really, really fast. So it totally makes sense that you'd only be in each place for a short time. So to take it back to Brazil and where you're from, what's your city there?
Caruaru.
Caruaru, okay.
Caruaru. It's a small village. Okay, not small village, but for Brazil, it's small. It's 400,000 people.
That's
Uh,
small. 400,000 is small.
we have 210 million in
Okay,
Brazil.
that's fair,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
As a
So yeah,
Canadian, that's huge. 400,000. Oh my gosh.
yeah. I mean, it's not the smallest village, of course, but example, in my state, it's the number three, number four smallest, biggest. You know, so it's not the biggest one. And then after, when I was 17, I left my house to try uh, to a better quality of life in Recife, which is the capital of Pernambuco, the state, which 2 million people living there now. And I saw the difference between countryside and the capital.
Uh-huh. You have some perspective. You know what both types of lifestyles are like.
Where do you live in Canada?
I live in Canada. Yeah, I live in Vancouver.
Vancouver. Okay. So do you speak? No, you don't speak French. Speak English, right?
No, I don't speak French. No. I actually grew up in Calgary. I don't know
Oh,
if you.
Calgary is very cold. I know Calgary.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, if anyone would know it, it would be you for sure. Because I tell a lot of people, a lot of international people that I'm from Calgary, and they don't know where it is. It's not a very well known place, I guess. We did host the Winter Olympics in like the 80s, and so sometimes people know that. Or if they're a hockey fan, they might know the Calgary Flames.
Calgary, yes.
But other than that, most people don't know the city. But that's where I grew up, in a small town just outside of Calgary, and then I moved to Vancouver just a year ago.
That's so cool. And why did you start your? Oh, should I ask question as well, or should I just answer?
Yeah, yeah, you can ask me any question you'd like.
Why did you start this podcast stuff in
Mm.
Vancouver?
Well, I've always liked traveling. I've always been kind of drawn to the idea that there are different cultures out there waiting to be explored. And right out of high school, I spent some time in Australia. It's kind of like, for me, it kind of felt like a good spot to start because it's an English speaking country. And for Canadians, it's pretty easy to get a visa to go there. And so I spent 6 months in Australia. And then just kind of like one thing after another, I ended up going to other countries, spent some time in Southeast Asia, did an exchange through my university in Europe, in Germany. And I just kind of kept getting more and more interested in other ways of life and learning different languages. And it kind of became my main passion. And then a couple of years ago, when I met my girlfriend, who's Colombian, I ended up spending some time in Colombia. And that was the first time that I really stayed in a place for like months. You know, like I was in Australia for 6 months, but like culturally, it's not the most different. It's not the
Yeah.
differences aren't that extreme, right? But going to
In
Colombia, I
Colombia, you
was
can see extreme difference, right?
yeah, oh yeah. With between Colombia and Canada, they really felt like different worlds. And because I was with my girlfriend there, and like meeting her friends and family, I was really kind of exposed to the culture. I wasn't living in a bubble. I didn't live in a touristy area. Most people don't speak English.
Which city?
Ibagué.
Wow, I never heard about it.
Yeah, it's just like a few hours below. I guess that would be south of Bogota.
Ah,
So
okay.
it may be like 5 hours in a bus, but it's not a touristy place, right? It's not on the ocean. It's like a very kind of Colombian city. And so I was exposed to the culture in all kinds of ways that I didn't necessarily experience in my other trips. And I was like, wow, there's a lot to this. The culture shock, feeling like I don't know if I really belong here. I don't know if I can really assimilate into the culture, learning the language and struggling with that, feeling like I wasn't understood or I wasn't understanding the situations or the jokes, all that kind of stuff. I was like, this is a very big process,
Do you
but
speak
it's
Spanish now?
I speak Spanish now. Yeah, kind of. I mean, I had to learn after spending so much time there. But I just started to really value what it means to truly embrace another culture. And so then that became the motivation for this podcast. Like, I'm very interested in other people who have undergone that process of cultural integration, who are like brave enough to embrace a different country. Because the easiest thing for everybody is just to stay at home. And if you want to do that, that's totally fine. But for me, I'm interested in people that have that like that travel bug or that interest in other people, and they're like willing to make sacrifices to understand this global world that we live in. And so that's really the motivation for this podcast.
Wow, that's a very good motivation, and I think this is very impressive. Congratulations! And how old are you?
I'm 28.
Wow, you look younger, by the way.
I've heard that a lot. Yeah, I've definitely heard that a lot. Yeah, but yeah, thank you. I'm really excited with this podcast. It's really fun to get to talk to people like yourself. You have such an interesting story, and I really want to get into your trips, and also I want to get into some of the countries where you've spent the most time as well. And so, which countries were those? Like you said that obviously in your first time around traveling to all of these countries, you needed to go pretty quick. But now you're in the second round of traveling to different countries, right? And are you planning on doing every country again, or are you just going to like select ones?
Well, that's another good question. So now I have a base in Portugal. So this is my house. Um, so I go on trips and then I come back to my base to do my routine, at least to keep my body going to the gym, this kind of stuff. See my friends. So because I want to have a family, and I think it's important to have a base. Otherwise, it's going to be more difficult to have a family or to meet someone. Uh, so now I'm trying to repeat some countries that I really liked and I really want to stay more. Example, this year I stay almost 2 months in Japan, which was very very interesting. I traveled from north to south, different cities, different people doing a lot of stuff, even snowboarding, like in Japan. So it was very 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 interesting. uh, and also I don't feel pleasure anymore to stay 2 3 days in a country as I did before. I was 24, so I was with a lot of energy, new dopamine, dopamine. Now I think deeper, it's my concept now. So yeah. And also I think about my people, right? Because I have a community. I have many people looking to me and looking to my trips. So what they like. So I try to make a combination of what they like to see and what I like to go. It's not just about me. It's not just about them. It's above. Because I think even social media, it has to be a deal, uh, good for both. Even if you don't pay or I don't pay them, but a deal, energy deal. That's what I believe.
Absolutely, yeah. Because if people are following you for content, they have certain expectations, and so as a content creator, it is our responsibility to fulfill those expectations that they have of us. But at the same time, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, the content will suffer as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
When you first started going on your around the world trip, that's when you started making content, or did you make content before that?
No, I started make content in the first country. It was very tough, I can say.
Yeah, because I can imagine just going into content, so much new stuff at the same time, right? Traveling around the world, starting this huge trip, and all of the stress that comes with that, and then also becoming a content creator in the process. That's a lot to take on at one time.
Yeah, it was very difficult, but I think a lot of things people they talk shit about coach, but I think when it's a real coach, when it's a real, like not these guys trying to sell you stuff that they don't believe. But I think everything is in our mind. I do believe in the power of the mind. And after I did a meditation retreat this year in Thailand, a silence meditation retreat, I could see the real power of the mind. So I used to use the power of the mind. If I speak bad English, I'm sorry. I never did class, so please
No, your English is great, man. Your English is really good. Don't worry.
don't look to my mistakes. So I saw the I used to use the power of the mind, even without know that I was using. Example, in the country number 11 in Guyana, I was robbed. The guy choked me, and then I passed out. When I woke up, I almost died in this day because I passed out and he still choked me. I could just die, like like the oxygen to brain stuff. But he let me and then I passed out. When I woke up, I thought, I'm gonna give up of this shit. What the fuck? I don't want to travel anymore. I'm gonna die. Like panic. But then I said, you know what? It happened. Maybe the statistics to happen against even lower. So let's keep. Like I'm not gonna give up and like try to train your mind to be stronger and stronger. And then I keep going. Like in Syria, I tried 3 times and they kicked me out because of the war. But then in the fourth time, I got the visa and get in. So a lot of things like that. It's like more mental struggle than physical struggle. That's why when I start to make content, to travel, to plan, to talk, to learn new language, because I learned 5 languages traveling during my trips. So it was a lot of informations, but also it was exciting because I was not feeling dumb anymore. I was feeling I would not say smart, but I would say useful, for myself.
And that is the thing with, like when I think about my own cultural experiences, they were the most difficult that I've probably ever done in my life. Like when you change your environment and the people around you and the language and everything, all of your references on how life works go out the window.
Yes,
It is
yes, yes.
very, very challenging. However, I think it is probably the most enriching thing a human can do. Once you move through that process and I start adjusting to it, the amount of learning that you come into is incredible. Like more than anything else I think you could do in the world.
That's true. That's true. And some people they keep money to build empires, but for me, the biggest empire it's the one that you build in your mind, in your life, because this empire, government can't take from you away from you. People cannot take away from you. Thieves cannot take away from you. You never lose this empire. That's why I believe that.
Yeah, I mean that's such a positive way of thinking. That's really inspiring because a lot of people. I mean, I guess I'm sure it was hard for you as well, but you pushed through anyway. Tell me about when you got robbed. That sounds insane. I can't even imagine that.
I say to the people that I almost got robbed twice. I almost died twice. So the first one, it's when I was in Guyana, in this part. I was like, this is a dangerous country, like it's a neighborhood of Brazil, and then I was walking in front of the hotel. Actually, I met someone in a party, and then I was with her in the hotel, in my hotel, and then I said, "Okay, I'm gonna be gentleman. I'm gonna bring you to the taxi," and then I was going to the taxi to pay her taxi, to go back to the house. And then when I was talking with the taxi driver, 3 big guys, like I mean big guys. It's not that kind of stories. Oh, it was big guys just because. No, no, it was 3 big guys, and then one choked me, another one punched me here, and yes, and then I almost died. I could die in this time. It was the closest way. This time I had the almost death experience. I don't know if you heard about that. Like when you see your body outside of yourself. So I remember every single detail. I saw my body from up, and I saw Havaianas, the Brazilian flip flops, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Havaianas. So I was wearing Havaianas, and then I saw my Havaianas like upside down. It was a white Havaianas, and then I saw myself. What happened? Am I flying? Am I what? And then I saw my body. I have goosebumps just to telling that. And then suddenly, something happened, I come back to my to my body. So this time it was crazy. It was help. It was really almost death experience. You know.
Wow. So what did the taxi driver do while you were getting choked out?
So I think that what happened it's because I think the taxi driver uh, I think it was a plan to get to like a tourist trap, you know, like when you are tourist and they know that you are tourist, they think that you have money and they do stuff just to make your money. So I think the girl called at someone while I was talking with the taxi driver. Someone came and because when I woke up was no taxi driver, no girls, nothing, you know.
Oh, so she was in on it as well.
I think personally,
Oh,
I think she was in.
wow. That's crazy. I mean, there's also such a unique feeling of vulnerability when you're in a different country because you don't really know how things work. And so when things go wrong or you're in a dangerous situation, it feels like 10 times worse, I think.
Yeah.
It's like the lesser version of that is like if you get sick. Like even if you just like, get a flu or something and you're in a different country, you're like, I don't know what they call like the drugs here that I want to buy and I don't know if I need a prescription or if I don't need a prescription and it's like super stressful. And so like being in a situation that extreme in a different country, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Have you ever passed through some situation like that?
No, not that extreme. I mean, when I first went to Colombia, I guess it was last year. We were there for a couple of weeks, and then a couple of my friends from the States came to visit me and my girlfriend there. And we went to Bogota, and we were kind of like hanging out and stuff. And we were all like looking for a place to go get lunch, and we were just like standing on the street. And so there was a group of four. So it was me, my girlfriend, my buddy, and his girlfriend. And we were all kind of like in this little circle on the street looking at our phones trying to find like a restaurant. And then a guy came up behind us and just grabbed my buddy's phone out of his hand, ran down the street, jumped on the back of a motorcycle, and then the motorcycle just was just gone, just instantly gone. And so we technically got robbed, but it wasn't violent, right? We weren't getting beat up, we weren't getting choked, there was no weapons. And even that felt traumatic. But it was nowhere near what you went through.
Yeah, it's interesting because your background from Canada, you from Calgary and from like it's like you don't even think about this kind of stuff when you're walking the street, right? You don't even think that you have to keep your phone on your pocket or on your underwear because someone can just try to grab it. In Brazil, we since we born, we know about this stuff. Like our parent. I remember when I was a kid, my dad say, "Hey, every time when you go out, take your money, split your money in 3 or 4 different pieces, and put one on the socks, another one in your pocket, another one on the pocket. Because if someone try to get your money, they're gonna get just a small amount of the money, not all of the money. Don't put your money together." Like since I was a kid, so he was explaining this kind of stuff. That's why I always say Brazilian. We have how can I say a sixth sense of get robbed, but sometimes this can be failed.
Yeah. No, that was something that I learned in Colombia that there's like an awareness that local people have that, well, I mean, it depends where you're from, right? It's very much like a cultural thing or I don't know. But like everyone there has an awareness of what's safe to do and what's not safe to do. And I guess we have an awareness in Canada, but it's much more open. Like, Canada's you're not going to get robbed here. It would be very unusual if you got robbed here. So people don't really think about that. I never thought about that. And then after that moment, I was like, okay, I'm going to start leaving my phone at home if I'm going to the grocery store. I'm not bringing my wallet anywhere. I'm just going to bring the
Yeah.
cash that I need. And immediately I was like, okay, I got to be more careful. So you do learn that with time for sure. So you said that you spent a couple of months in Japan this year and you were traveling around there. Tell me a little bit about that. You obviously had been to Japan the first time around. How long did you spend there when you first visited Japan?
It was 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay. And now 2 months this year.
1.5, like
Okay.
almost, yeah.
And what made you want to go back to Japan?
Well, the culture of Japan, it's very unique in the world. I would say that there are no countries even near like Japan. Some people can say, "Oh, but Korea, China," but it's not the same. It's different. And when you go, you see how different it is. This is the first thing. Like I like unique stuff, and also I like the feeling to be different in a country. So when I travel around South America, it's cool, of course, because I know, like, hablas español, entonces, cabrón, vamos bailar y vamos comer algo, y spicy, blah, blah. Like, the energy, the vibe is nice. But I'm just one more. And I like when people look to me sometimes in a weird way, sometimes in a judgment way, sometimes like in a different ways. And I like this feeling because then I can see how humans are in the essence. So when I was in Japan, I could talk with the Japanese people. They're so polite, they're so nice, they're so, like, even the bad Japanese, like from the mafia or something like that, like you can see the bad people. You can go to bad place. I went to bad place and I could try to tease them, to talk with them. Even the bad ones, they're nice. Like, they're polite. They're gonna do something bad, but they're gonna be doing a polite way. So it's so interesting to see this kind of stuff, and I learned so much, with that. And I'm writing a book. I start the draft about human behaviors. So it was a good experience also. And I love Japanese food. Like, who doesn't like sushi? Who doesn't like ramen? Who doesn't like this kind of stuff? Who never watched Naruto or any Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon? So yeah, that's why I love Japan so much, and I could live in Japan.
I mean, that's so interesting that you say that you like to feel other, like you like to feel different in a place, because I think that is probably something that a lot of people avoid, right? They don't want to feel different.
You are really smart. I like your comments. That's true. That's true, actually.
Because, like, I definitely felt that, it's different if you go to a country that isn't very diverse, right? Like, if you come to Canada as someone from anywhere in the world, you will blend in because we're a very international place. We're very diverse. No one would look at you and go, huh, I wonder where he's from. That just doesn't happen. You go on the bus, you'll see people from 20 countries, right? Different languages being spoken, different colors of skin, it's just different religions. It's normal for us. But if you go to somewhere like Japan, I imagine that you really stand out if you're not Japanese, because it's a more homogenous society, right? It's more all kind of one race, more or less, is my assumption.
And one thing interesting is Japanese people, they have just 1 week free in the whole year. So they they you're gonna see a lot of Japanese traveling, and when you see them traveling, or they are very rich, or they are entrepreneurs, or they are in this, it calls golden week. So they work so much. They're like a very hard worker. And some cities, it's even disrespectful to take this golden week because someone, they have to replace you in the job. So they go on a trip feeling guilty sometimes. So every time that I see Japanese people traveling, I make sure that I'm gonna talk with them. Oh, genki desu ka? Arigatou gozaimasu. Because I know this is very special for them. It's not like a people who travel a lot, like for long times. It's always for short times. So that's why. And also, we are talking about difference. Another place of the earth that is very interesting. It's Central Asia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan. This part, any kind of foreign, you can feel yourself special, or you can feel the difference because they're gonna look to you like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, who are you? Where are you from? Like that maybe they to touch you to see who are you. So it's like the same. It's very interesting.
Wow, yeah, the places that aren't visited that often by tourists, basically.
Yeah, yeah. That's my favorite place.
Wow. And I guess, like, there might be a certain level of novelty to that. Like you go to a new place and you definitely stand out. But after a month and a half of being in Japan, did you still like that feeling or did you ever get tired of it?
In Japan, no. I think I would never get tired of this feeling in those countries because I spoke with some foreign people who lived there, and they always tell the same. Like, oh, here feels so special. People are so nice with me, and it's very interesting because I was in Russia a month and a half ago, and everybody says Russian people, and I'm just make clear, I'm not talking about the politics or about the government or about no. So I'm talking about people, about humans. And when I start to talk with people, they say, "No, Russian people they are so cold. Their culture is so different." And I say, "With me, they are amazing. Like the way how they behave with me, it's like the guys always want to offer me some drink, some vodka and stuff. The girls they I want to marry, or like this kind of jokes, Like it's always nice jokes, and I can see like the jokes of Russian maybe can sound bad for other nationalities, but it's so pure, it's so genuine, like the kind of jokes. They don't care what they're gonna think about them. They're gonna do the joke, and this is so authentic. I think the world now it's going into a way that you have to watch yourself all the time or watch your words all the time, and that we are losing the authentics of the countries of the place, And I think this is what makes us different, like this is the beauty of being human being.
And I think people forget as well. They talk about, oh, how do people act in this country or that country, but they forget the fact that it's a two-way street. The way you interact with people also determines how they're going to treat you a lot of the time, right? I went to the Philippines in May for the very first time, and I love Filipinos. They're so warm. They're so inviting.
Sorry to
Um,
interrupt you, but how did you learn fucking Philippines? How it's possible?
oh yeah. Well, Well, I learned that long before I ever went to the Philippines. So, like, my first time there was only this year, but I learned the language like 8 or 9 years ago. I had a
How?
girlfriend from the Philippines that I met here in Canada. That's the simplest answer.
I'm gonna let you finish your story, but there is a book. It calls "The Language of Bad." It's English people. When they start to colonize India, they send some English guys to go to India to sleep with Indian girls. And then they start to learn Hindi, and then they come back with the Hindi. Then they teach the English people more Hindi, and then they start to colonize. And they say that the best way to learn a language is sleeping with someone. So, so you are the proof.
Here I am. It works. It works.
So
Um,
tell me.
yeah, I was in the Philippines, and I noticed that there was an adventure to be had kind of around every corner. Like if you opened yourself up to the local people and you were like friendly and you were engaging, you get that back tenfold. Now, if you want to walk around kind of like with blinders on and just like I just want to do my own thing, don't talk to me, kind of give off that body language, not really be friendly, people aren't going to go out of their way to include you. But if you open yourself up, they're ready and they're waiting to like strike up a conversation. And so the way that you act around people really influences the way that they treat you as well. And I think people forget that sometimes. Like they just go, well, oh, nobody talked to me on the street, so I guess they're not friendly. And I was like, well, did you talk to anybody on the street? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely agree 100%. And also like I'm doing YouTube. Like I start YouTube like for real 3 months ago, and my video is getting a lot of views because of this thing. Like it's my main rule on the video on YouTube. Most of the YouTubers which who travels, uh, they show the place. Okay, this is a remote control. This is white, blah blah blah. Oh, this is a cell phone. This is purple, blah blah blah. Oh, look, this Japanese guy. Look at this, his eye, so funny. They do this. Oh, this is ramen. Yummy, yummy. But they don't talk with people, And when they talk, it's just, hey, buddy, how's it going? Hey, blah 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 blah. And then people like it. But I was thinking, like, but what else people like? Which kind of people I want to reach? As I told you, I don't want to judge them. It's just funny the way how they show, and I think there are people for every kind of person. You're gonna find out your audience, and that's it. but I say I want my audience to talk with people. I'm gonna teach them how I talk with people, how I communicate with people, and then I start to make my videos talking with people, interacting with people, and then it works, because most of the comments, the good comments, they say, "Oh my God, that's so nice that you speak Wolof. It's like African dialect. Oh, that's so nice how they behave. It's just because I approach them. That's the point."
Yeah, absolutely. And the language is such an amazing way to connect with people. It's almost a cheat code. If you speak the language, even just a few words, it really like helps you relate to the locals and helps them relate to you, right? You said that you learned 5 languages throughout your trip. What languages are those?
So Russian, Portuguese, that's my language, English, French, and Spanish.
Wow. Okay. So you didn't necessarily, other than Portuguese, did you have experience with those languages before, or did you learn all of them while traveling?
Yeah, while traveling.
Wow. Okay. And so that's like 4 foreign languages in 2 years, essentially.
And I would say in six, because I travel. Yes, because I started traveling when I was 24. Now I'm 30, so 6 years.
Okay. Not just in the first 2 years, but like since you've been
The first two
traveling.
years, just English and Spanish, a little bit of Russian, and then I found a Ukrainian ex-girlfriend, and then I started to practice with her, and then
See what happens?
I had a French girlfriend, and then I learned, I learned French. No, I'm joking.
Wow.
The
Did you
French.
write that book? Did you write that book you were talking about?
No, no, I'm joking. No, just the Ukrainian one. But yes, but the point is like sometimes it's not girlfriends or relationship, but sometimes you spend a weekend with someone or 3 or 4 days, and you have to make the struggle to learn with someone. Or sometimes you will spend the weekend with a group of people from another country, and you have to make struggle to make them teach you some things, and I think it's important because if you go to England and if you ask another people like English people, which language do you speak? English. No, 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 no. But besides that, Spanish, and then you start. Okay, hablando español. Un poquito, 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 and that's it. They don't speak
Yeah.
Spanish. They think
Dos
that they speak Spanish.
cervezas, por favor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dos cervezas, por favor. Yes, exactly. So, because of course they don't need another language because English is a universal word. Of course, it's totally understandable. But what is the effort? Like to learn more, to be humble. To try to connect more of the word. That's what I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes such a big difference. And I think a lot of it is just the effort. Like you said, it doesn't really matter if you don't speak super well or if you make mistakes. If people can see that you're putting in effort, they always appreciate that.
Uh, I can tell you there are two friends. The first friends I met before I learned French, and it was horrible. I used to tell French people they're arrogant. No, 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 no. I'm not gonna come back to this country. No, no. What the fuck? Why they don't speak with me? And then I started to learn French, and then I did a challenge. I learned French in 21 days. I moved to Lyon, and then I said I'm gonna speak French in 21 days. I have the base, Portuguese, Spanish, English. You know a lot of words already, so I just need practice. And then I started to do 8 hours of studying with people, stopping people on the streets and talking with them, even though I didn't know French very well. And then I learned French. I didn't write, I didn't read, but I learned how to talk, most of the things. Now I can speak like almost fluently. And I went to France for the Olympic Games with a good French. Finally, it was another France. Another. People smiling, people talking to you, people offering you stuff. And I could see like French people, they are not bad. They are not arrogant. They just are shy to speak another language. And they are proud and nationalists. That the word? You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
which is right, like they have them reasons to be like that. And when they see you struggling to speak French, making effort, they are so nice with you. So yeah.
I mean, like there are obviously no cultures that are better or worse than other cultures, right? They're all equal, they're just different. And so when two people from two different cultures come together and they have some kind of dispute or argument, or they say, the French, I don't like French people, or I don't like Canadian people, or whatever, it's always it comes down to a misunderstanding to a certain degree, right? Some kind of ignorance on one side or both sides. People just aren't understanding each other. And so when you can speak the language and you can bridge that gap, it can only create good things, right?
I agree 100%. You are very mature, bro. Really. I like I like your
Thank you.
comments. Each comment, it's a cat. Boom, 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 boom.
No, dude, I'm learning a lot from you right here. I really appreciate this. This is awesome. So, tell me a little bit more about Japan. You said that you wanted to go there because the culture is so unique. It's so different. When you first arrived, what were some of the biggest differences that you found in Japan?
The food, for sure. It's a big change. A lot of soups, a lot of liquids, a lot of herbs, sauce, different stuff, and raw stuff. The people, they are very. You probably you think, oh, Japan, the technology, they are very outside of the box and stuff. But no, they are very like conservative in this way. Some jeans I could not get in because of the tattoos, so I
Oh,
had to wear a long shirt. And I had to work out with a long shirt. I even showed it at my Instagram. Otherwise, I could not get in the gym. What else? Um, they are very shy to talk about sex. It's like kind of a taboo. They when they drink, they become another person in a good way. They're never. It's like you're never gonna see an aggressive people in Japan. So even your mood, it's affected because when you look around and you see people peace, polite. If you be aggressive, you're gonna feel so bad for that, because people are not like that. You're gonna feel a monster, even if someone don't tell you. So it was very important, and I could see the power of the environment. When you are in the right environment, it's important because you're gonna get the right behaviors, and it can makes you go to another level, and it can makes you smarter, aware. Like this is very important. That's how I felt in Japan. They are so disciplined about everything. So you can get this discipline from Japanese, and you can put in your life, you can put in your work, you can put in your lifestyle. So that's why Japan for me it's one of the most interesting countries in the world.
wow, yeah. You kind of assimilate to the environment that you're in. And if you're in an environment that's very disciplined and orderly and polite, then you're going to take on those traits, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, yeah, yeah. Japan is kind of known for that. They're known as like a very polite people. You said that when they drink, that they change personalities. Is that because they are like less concerned about like, well, yeah, why is that? Like, how do they change?
Yeah, exactly. They are less concerned about what the people are gonna think about them. They are less. They care less about the judgments, and they become more funny. They become more like smiling, and they do some crazy stuff. It's very very nice.
And I guess everybody is like that when they drink, kind of. But maybe the difference is just more extreme from how they normally act.
Well, Brazilian when we drink, we want to take off the clothes, so it's very dangerous. Like if I drink, I want to get in, go on the table, stand up on the table, do a strip tease, and stuff. That's why I don't drink. I don't drink.
Is there what's the drinking culture like in Japan?
Sake. They drink a lot of beers, uh, and then also they go to karaoke's. Another thing very interesting in Japan is they don't drink in public. It's like even the bars and the restaurants, it's a little bit more hidden. And then they have the karaoke's, which is even more hidden. And then they can drink even more. you know, and the clubs, horribles. Like the clubs, it's horrible, horrible, horrible. You're gonna see like 98% of men and 2% of girls. So it's very interesting because the girls they are more girly, more reserved, like more conservative. Like the dating culture is very slow, even slower than Sweden. Because in Sweden, I was in Sweden now. Interview Swedish people. It was very very interesting. Also, why they use dating apps, but yeah, in Japan everything it's like the anime. It's a very true what you see in the anime. It's very true. The romance, the shyness takes a while to touch the hand for kiss. Woo, sometimes it's month. It's of course there are some exceptions, but yeah, it's like that. which I think is cute, you know.
Yeah, it's their own culture, right? It's how they do life. Was there anything about Japanese culture that was hard for you to adapt there during your time being in Japan?
Yes, sometimes they are very like this. They could not change. Sometimes I say, no, please. It's just like one because in Brazil, if you get late for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, okay, we're gonna find out. No, you go in the next one. No, it's okay. I give you discount. No, it's okay. You know, in Brazil, everybody helps each other in a way that makes the flow. But in Japan, now 1 cent, 1 cent. If you don't have, you don't go. You know, no credit
Mm.
card, cash. No, 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 no. Go withdraw money and come back. So they are very strict in some things, but I respect. You know, I don't have the right to be sad because I am in them country. I have this rule for me. I can be sad, I can be angry, but I don't have the right. So every time when I think about that, I come back to myself. I breathe, and then I say, okay. Sometimes I even accept to lose money. It's okay. You know, it's not my country. I'm here. They didn't bring me here. I came here by myself, so I have to accept the rules. You know.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, I think. Sometimes I see people in other countries. I mean, it depends on the person, their personality, but sometimes people have a feeling of entitlement. Like the
Yeah.
world should change for me because I'm used to something else. And you can try that, but you won't change the country. You won't change the culture. You'll just have a bad attitude. That's it. That's all it'll do.
There is a very polemic subject in Russia. When I was there, I talked about that a little bit. It's nothing about the war. It's more about the way how the government is. Some people they say, "Oh, Russia should." I'm gonna make this reflection for everybody. It's not what I think. It's just a reflection that I heard and made me think. So the people say Russia it's a dictatorship. Okay, maybe it is. Not maybe it is. Okay, let's pretend it is. Putin is a dictator. But if you go back in the history and if you see the czars, the kings, the emperors, Russia always was like that for centuries. The only time that they changed a lot of the empire, the president, or whatever you want to call, it was a lot of blood, civil war, a mess in the country, and then they become in these things again. Maybe democracy works for us, for Brazil, for Canada, for US. But if you install democracy in Russia, maybe it can be a chaos, it can be even worse, you know? So that's why we should not judge. It's not our business, you know? Okay, maybe, not maybe, they are attacking Ukraine, they are doing shit, blah, blah. But this is another topic. It's not about the government thing, you know? So when we start to think like in a different perspective about each country and try to do not have an opinion, a point of view, and say yes, it's right or wrong, we start to be more empathetic about the situations, you know.
Yeah, it's like how like one word has a different meaning depending where you are in the world. Like, oh, I think politically this is what it means to be extreme, or this is what it means to be on the left or on the right, and then you go somewhere else, and their definitions are completely different. You know,
Yeah,
same word but a different meaning, and it's kind of like you really have to take off the glasses and be like, whoa, I got to see this for what it is in context, not
yeah,
using how I think in Canada and projecting it onto a different country, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's like, for example, when I was in Colombia, um, I would see, like, I would just say the attitude around homelessness, for example, right? It's a big issue, homelessness in any country. But in Canada, generally speaking, homelessness seems to come from some mental health issues, and we have a lot of problems with addiction, right? Substance abuse, drugs. And so that is not all of the time, but a big portion of our homeless population are addicted to drugs. And so that's a separate issue. You know, how you'd go about trying to rectify that is more focused on mental health things. It's not typically economic. You go to Colombia, if you see homeless people, my perception, I might be wrong, but it's usually economic. right? They
Yeah,
just
yeah,
don't have enough money to afford to live somewhere. So the way you're going to look at those people is completely different. The way that you would solve that problem is completely different, right? Same issue, different solution.
yeah, yeah. Wow, it was a very good example. I agree 100%. And then because of the economic, they use drugs to avoid the situation to be poor. And then, like this is crazy. Like it's the same in Brazil. Like they go to the streets, mainly for economic situations, but then they are there in the streets. They get the opportunity to use that to avoid the problems, to forget the problems, and then they start to use drugs. So in
Like it's maybe
Canada,
the opposite. How
yeah,
you would end up there is maybe opposite.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
it's like when you're in a new environment, you have to look and say, okay, what's true about this country and this context? Not assuming anything about what I know about the world back home. Let me look at this new world here and see how life is here, right? Something I'm curious about, and maybe this is kind of putting you on the spot, but as someone who's traveled to every country in the world, some of them more than once, do you have a list of like your top 5 countries?
For sure. Canada and Philippines. Number one, number two, number three, Colombia. Number. I'm joking. I'm just like flattering you because you're Canada, your girlfriend's from Colombia, and you speak Philippines. I know there
Wow.
are, there are a
No,
lot
I
of
was with
Philippines
you.
audience.
I was with you going, yep, yep, yep. I agree 100%.
Uh, okay. Uh, it's difficult to make a list, but I can make a list if I would leave now. So I would go to, I would live in Thailand for sure, you know. And I want to mention that even though I would live in Thailand, I would try to learn the Thai culture as much as I can because you're gonna see a lot of people now. It's kind of trending. And one more time, I don't want to judge, but I don't want to judge them, but I want to advise them. I think as an influencer, as a content creator, I have a responsibility, and you too, to share our point of views. We are older than those people, so I see a lot of teenagers, 17, 18, 19, 20, going to Thailand for drink, for party. It's cool. I did it when I was 24. I really did it. I'm not. That's why I'm not gonna judge. But if I could come back in the past, I would not go to Thailand to see European people. I would not go to Thailand to engage with European people because I can do it any part of Europe. Thailand, it's a paradise. It's unique. The culture is unique. The people are unique. Thailand was never colonized. Like the way how they have the culture, you should engage with the culture, not go to Thailand to go to party, to go pee, to drink as a fuck, like, and like, and then you see a lot of people get a relationship with Europeans in Thailand. Oh, why did you meet in Thailand party? When it's not Thailand. It's a part of Europe. It's a European what's the name of that? Quintal. European puxadinho, porra, caralho, não say in English. When you have a house, European garden,
Ah,
this kind
okay.
of stuff.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I love Thailand, but I don't like the fact of the parties and of the tourists. They are so touristic. That's why I like to explore some islands outside of the tourist spot. So it would be my country number one, to live. Number two, Norway or Sweden. I put both in the same, like the Nordic countries in general, but I really like Norway because of the Northern Lights. Because I lost a special friend. He used to live in Norway. He died this year, and it was my favorite place. It is my favorite place. I used to go every year to see the Northern Lights with him, and it's unique. The landscapes, everything's very unique in Norway. So I would say it's like for beach side Thailand, for snow side Norway, and I would say another one like top three, Japan. Yeah, for sure, Japan. Yeah.
Wow. The Nordic
And
countries.
Brazil, of course, Brazil. We have the best country in the world. We have so much culture, so much food, so much different landscapes. So yeah.
Yeah, I would love to go to Brazil. I've never been there. In South America, I've only been to Colombia. That's it. But there's a lot of countries to visit.
Whenever you go to Brazil, let me know. I'm gonna try to find a way to join you and to show you around for
Oh my
sure.
gosh, that would be amazing, man. That would be amazing. Hey, I just want to thank you for talking to me. I really appreciate this. You're such a positive, energetic guy. You're a wealth of knowledge. seasoned traveler. This has just been like so much fun, man. I really appreciate this.
Thank you very much. Really, it was very nice to talk with you as well.
And for people that want to get a hold of you or check out your content, how can they find you online?
Well, they can find me on Instagram, 196 Sonhos, Sonhos, or on YouTube, 196 Sonhos also. I don't have an English profile yet, but it's gonna be on my plan for the next months. So, but they can see English content on YouTube. I mean, yeah, they can't because it's in Portuguese anyways. But you can follow me on Instagram.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, let's leave it here for right now, and maybe sometime in the future we can have another call and keep chatting. This has been so fun.
Thank you very much.